bonjour, hi, and welcome to our final session for today. If you don't have a seat, come find one because I have a feeling people are going to stray in as we go. So get yourselves a seat, squeeze in, and we'll make sure we get going. We have a fabulous final session. We're going to be talking about agentic AI. It's going to end with a conversation, but to start it off, I would like to welcome the Senior Director of Product Management at NVIDIA. Please welcome Adel El-Halak. Adel.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Hello, everybody. Did Dave just say I'm the last session of the day? So I'm between you guys and wine and drinks? All right, so let's get going. So look, my name's Adel. I do product management at NVIDIA. And yes, I'm based in California, but it's really special for me to be here because I grew up in Montreal. I went to McGill University. So, ouais, bonjour Montréal. Hello, Canada. In fact, I slept at mom and dad's house last night in the room that I grew up in. And I'll tell you guys this, I never thought I'd be a 45-year-old man standing up on stage and telling you guys that my dad dropped me off at work this morning and my mom packed my lunch, right? Look, we have a super exciting day, and I'm honored to be joined by two guests, Jaime Taris, who's the SVP and Chief AI Officer at Telus, that had exciting announcements today, and Andrew Manny, MD and Head of AI Engineering over at RBC. But first, I'm going to take you through a little journey. The NVIDIA journey, the NVIDIA story. And it's truly a remarkable one because it's one of transformation, right? And NVIDIA started off as a chip company, one that manufactured GPUs, with the goal of creating a new computing platform called accelerated computing. And I reminisced with many of you last night talking about, first buying their first GPU, putting it in their clone PC. I remember my dad walking down to our basement with, seeing me opening up our PC and trying to shove a GPU into PCIe. Right? We all did that. But it was in 2008 when CUDA was introduced that computing was revolutionized. That's because it allows developers, right, to program NVIDIA GPUs to do general purpose parallel computing. And fast forward 10 years beyond that, right, with the advent of deep learning, right, it stood to reason that this new software called AI required a complete redesign of a system, from the silicon all the way up to the software. And so we introduced DGX-1. And I remember the day when Jensen donated the very first DGX-1 to a nonprofit called OpenAI, right? But this new type of AI application required that all these processors work with one another. All these nodes communicate with one another, right? And so the data center became the new unit of compute, right? And this new unit of compute all works together to produce and accomplish one task, and that's to generate intelligence. And so the same way about a couple decades ago, we laid the infrastructure, right, for the information age, right, that we call the internet. Today, we're all laying the AI infrastructure, right, the infrastructure of intelligence, that digital infrastructure. And so what are the workloads that are driving these compute needs, right? Who remembers 2012, AlexNet? Show of hands. Right. It was a monumental moment for deep learning because it was the first time that a convolutional neural network, significantly beat more traditional computer vision ways, right, in accomplishing tasks on large data sets, the ImageNet data set, right? And it spurred the whole world of innovation, right? Theano came, a framework, a deep learning framework came right here out of Montreal, right out of Yoshua Bengio's lab, right? Allowed us to experiment with perception AI, right? Computer vision for medical imaging, ASR, right? To be able to transcribe what it is that we say. So it pushed the envelope of perception AI. But let's be real. Let's be real. I think AI became mainstream in the ChatGPT moment, right? I think that was then even when my parents finally understood what it was that I do for work, right? That ChatGPT moment. And generative AI is fantastic, right? It could generate pixels. It can write content marketing, right? It can refine copy. It can write limericks. It can help review things. But I think what's really exciting is the age that we're living now, agentic AI. Because if generative AI and these models, right, are the brain, are the engine of cars, agentic AI are the drivers, right? It is no longer a single prompt, right? Get a response, prompt back. Agentic AI is about driving tasks, accomplishing tasks. It reasons through the plan, the how, the what, sometimes even the why. And if you want to peek a little bit into the future, which we're not going to do today, right? But you could actually already see in the expo hall, physical AI is coming soon, right? And this is when we're going to enable autonomous vehicles, and robots to accomplish complex tasks, perceive the real world, the physical world. But we're here to talk about agentic AI. And AI agents, we fundamentally believe that AI agents are to be built with purpose-specific models. And for that, you need diversity. And so the way we provide models to the ecosystem are through what we call NVIDIA NIMs. You could think of those as inference microservices. It's taking a model and the runtime and packaging one as one microservice. And you take that runtime with you wherever you want. I loved what Aiden talked about earlier, right? It is important that you're able to meet you where you are. If you want to run an air-gapped environment, you want to run in your data center, in the cloud. And so NIMs is how we deliver optimized models that run as efficiently possible on a GPU. And so we have a diversity of models. NVIDIA publishes its models. Cosmos are world foundation models for generating data sets to teach robots and autonomous vehicles how to work in the real world. Nemotron is something I'm going to double-click on in the next slide, right? But it excels at reasoning, which is awesome for agentic AI. We have Riva if you want to do speech AI. We have Nemo Retriever if you want to connect your agents to your knowledge base. But NIMs are not just an NVIDIA thing. Right? You're going to hear me come back to this theme recurrently. It's an ecosystem play. And so this is just a snapshot of all the many players that we collaborate with. Our friends Mistral that were on stage earlier. We make sure their open source models run optimally on our platform. And we collaborate with the rest of the ecosystem. GPT OSS, the Metas, the Llamas of the world, the Googles, the Gemmas, and everybody else. And so again, having this kind of diversity is critical because we believe fundamentally that agents will be specialized. So let's double click on Nemotron for a sec. I love what Minister Solomon said today, that adoption can only be driven through trust. And I'm biased to Nemotron, yes, because I work at NVIDIA, but I'm biased to Nemotron because of the way we're developing AI. And that is the most open approach to developing AI. So it's not just the open model weights that we provide. Yes, you can get those on Hugging Face. But we're open sourcing the pre-training data sets, the post-training data sets. Something like 9 trillion tokens of reasoning data sets under the most permissible licenses available. But it's not just the training data itself, right? It is also the recipes, the knows-hows of how we got there, right? The know-how of how we got there. And whether those are through notebooks, examples that we provide, through microservices that we avail, or through research papers that we publish, right? We've been at this for, Nemotron is not new, we've been at this for at least half a decade. And we believe that having efficient models is critical, because when your models are open and efficient, right? You understand, you can trust it, right? You'll appreciate how you can train it, customize it, deploy it. And when it's inefficient, it is able to put more thought into a query. And so it actually becomes smarter, right? And so that's something we really focus on, which is driving equivalent accuracy on complex reasoning tasks, or even surpassing those, as efficiently as possible. And so Nemotron is something we're super excited about, and you'll hear my other partners talk about it shortly as well. But a model is not enough. Just like a human employee, when you join a company, right, you first have to learn about the company's culture. You have to learn about the products, you got to learn about the norms. You're also told about what you can do, what you can't do, what systems you have access to, what you can't have access to. You got to think of agents the same way. They're digital companions. And so when you're onboarding an agent, you got to decide what data do I want to train them with or give them access to? How do I want to customize them to our norms? How do I evaluate them and observe them? Something we hate as human employees, right? And then equally important, and most importantly probably, is how do we guardrail them? How do you put the systems in places to ensure they stay within task, right? And so we have the Nemo platform for that. We have a Nemo platform for that, for not just onboarding your agents, but manage them throughout their life cycle. Managing them throughout their life cycle, right? Managing them throughout their life cycle. And we talk about this notion of a data flywheel. this data flywheel. And why is that important? Well, when you engage with agents, the more you engage with agents, and the more human feedback you have with that digital companion, the better it becomes. Because you use that data through reinforcement learning to further improve that agent. And you know what the best part about agents are? Right? They can't actually quit on you. And so you never lose that institutional knowledge. It always retains, it stays within your institution, it stays within your organization. I think that's super, super powerful. Even if your agent's not talking or interacting with you, if it's there listening to a customer-centered conversation, right? It's able to learn and retain and be able to better project or predict what the human agent has to respond with. And so we offer the Nemo platform for that. And so how does all this come together, right? I started at the bottom layer, talking about accelerated computing. And it really is a full stack problem, from the GPUs to the CPUs, to the DPUs, right? And the networking that connects it all, to build the infrastructure of intelligence, to the models that span all sorts of different domains for your specialized agents, right? To the microservices from Nemo, right? To ensure that you manage your agents in the lifecycle, right? Throughout their lifecycle. And finally, we offer something called blueprints. Blueprints take the guessing game away from how to build specialized agents. Frankly, a lot of these agents are agents that we deploy internally at NVIDIA. We publish those externally. Again, it goes back to this open sharing. And so when you finally do that, right, you have these agents that can tap into your knowledge bases, define specific plans, right, do collection analysis, deep research, right? You have this digital workforce that can support you, make you more productive. But we're just providing the building blocks. We are just providing the building blocks. And I tell you, one of NVIDIA's superpowers is the ecosystem, right? We scale through the ecosystem. We only go to market through the ecosystem, right? And so, this is the most important slide that I have up here. It goes to show you the breadth of all the OEMs that we work with, all the AI ops partners that we work with, many of which are here today, many of which are Canadian, right? The system integrators, the SIs that are there, right? They're the ones that are helping you guys stand up sovereign AI, helping us stand up AI factories, right, for this world of intelligence. But look, don't take it all from me, right? I want to introduce our first guest, and I'm hoping they're going to switch the slides so I can introduce our first guest and the music. All right, so let's have Amy Tatis. He's SVP and Chief AI Officer at Telus.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much for coming.
Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
So, by the way, just quick caveat, we've never rehearsed this.
Ever.
For real, this is the three of us met for the first time backstage. And so this is first time we're doing this. So there's might be a couple of mess ups. Can we roll the video? Oh, they've got it in the background. Look at that.
Oh, beautiful.
The sovereign AI is up.
Yes, indeed. So look, I wanted to start with a video. Not long ago, a few hours ago, we had a launch of our Telus AI factory that is right now live from Rimouski. And I just wanted to show you a video. Actually, this is live, and you can see how our AI studio looks like and works. So right now, you can go and use bare metal, you can use Kubernetes, you can run NIMs, and it's in a very familiar interface that any machine learning engineer will be able to recognize and use. What you're seeing right now is a Jupyter notebook where you can run any models you want. You can go and browse different NIM services that you can offer. You can spawn your own different model. It's very versatile. You can run models from Hugging Face or any other model that you created. We offer fine-tuning services. You can run inference at a scale. And the good news, again, as I mentioned before, is all this is live right now, and any of you here that is interested in running this can use it at any moment. In this example, you have a very, normal Copilot that all of you will get used to it. I'm sure that's the way that you see it when you use Gemini or ChatGPT or any of the other ones, but this is actually running in the Sovereign AI factory, and this is a clear example of some inference that is happening. We not only offer these, we also have, as I mentioned before, all the NIM services that have the microservices with curated large language models that you can use at your disposal. We're very proud of these. We actually are using these already from many weeks before. And already our teams are using these GPUs to be able to run really heavy machine learning models. And we also are running inferences that we feed through our platform Fuel iX that is connected to it to be able to run our own models and different models in a sovereign construct. We will talk about this later, but we have seen, the numbers speak by themselves, very clear improvements on performance, very clear improvements on the explainability through using these interfaces and the AI factory compared to where we're running these models before. We're very proud of it. We're going to talk a little bit about that on the coming minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you might have one more slide coming up. There you go. Yeah, technical benefits and business benefits. Actually, that's a perfect backdrop to the conversation. So I love how you're kind of explaining here we're going to go from this old reactive batch-oriented way to this more proactive, right, real-time way. Now you mentioned Fuel iX briefly. I was reading about Telus. We've been collaborating with Telus. You have 50,000 users internally in the company utilizing it, and across what? Legal, sales support, software development, coding.
Indeed.
What are some of the internal benefits you realize, and how do you expect the enterprises out there, the researchers out there, to utilize the sovereign AI cloud that you guys just launched, right, and realize some of those benefits?
Totally. So I'll go back a little bit and explain what Fuel iX is. So we created a platform back in 2023. Out of a need when Gen AI came out, we wanted to ensure that we can offer responsible, safe, secure access to all the company and be able to have it connected to different large language models. These have a scale and is used now by over 55,000 team members. And we've been able to create very large enterprise use cases that are creating a lot of value for us. If I look from 2023, we have created over $80 million of value from Gen AI alone and over $200 million of value through machine learning. And these numbers are just going to scale. And one of the things that I'm really proud of the AI factory is when you look at what we have done in Telus, that's what we want to enable everyone across the country to be able to enable too. So you think about government, you think about enterprise, you think about research, you think about academia, all of them can access this factory and be able to create values and unlock benefit and transformation for their company.
And we're not talking about a future state, we're talking about today.
This is right now. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is that I really want more companies and enterprises not to be just users of AI, but builders.
Yeah.
We need to have a notion of builders, being able to build startups, being able to build the transformation that we require to get us where we want to be.
Love that, love that. Jaime, in one of the conversations we had, and I remember this vividly, you explicitly told me you hate the term center of excellence.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Right. He hates it, right? It's a strong word. He's very passionate about it. I hate that term.
Yeah.
Jaime, why do you hate center of excellence? Excellence is a good thing. And then Jaime explained to me, he's like, because, great ideas, good ideas come from everywhere and anywhere. And I absolutely, that really resonated with me, right? Especially in this thought of open collaboration. So tell us about that journey internally at Telus, and then how do you expect this notion of open collaboration, enabling kind of all this innovation to come from anywhere through the sovereign AI cloud?
Of course. So the main reason that we were talking about it before, that I never liked the notion of center of excellence, is because dictate that excellence resides in a pocket of the organization, which doesn't make any sense, because there's no little pocket of their organization that is going to be able to transform the entire company. So the philosophy that we always employ is the best ideas are all over the business. And what you really need to create is platforms and technology coupled with training and the literacy required to be able to unlock the innovation and creativity of every single team member in your company. And that is the main ingredient and reason that we've been able to accomplish what I mentioned before. Now, when I look at the AI factory, like what I really want to do, as I mentioned before, I want to ensure that we build the notion of builders in this country. And I want every enterprise, every research government to be able to use this technology and know-how to be able to create that transformation. And then creativity beats creativity. When you actually see in the organization that there are certain teams that came with some ideas that are really good, that they scale, then actually creates more innovation and creates that secret ingredient that you need to actually keep on going and transform all the things that you need to accomplish.
I love that. Okay, so I got to ask this. How do you maintain innovation, kind of open collaboration, right? An ecosystem of builders, but at the same time ensure you have the guardrails, the safeguards in place, right? So that things, frankly, can't go too awry in case, right?
No chaotic.
Right? It's not too bad.
Fair. So trust is the bedrock of our ethos for Telus. Like, it's very essential, and we have very robust responsible AI, privacy and security practices, and guardrails that we have implemented around how we do things, how we approve what we're going to be doing, but we do it in a manner that is agile and allow us to actually move ahead and be able to have responsible deployments of the technology. We were the first telco in Canada that actually signed the voluntary AI code of conduct, and the first Gen AI solution that we created and put outside for customers, for our customer-facing, was the first in the world to be internationally approved by the Responsible AI ISO certification. So we have a really strong track record, and we have all the know-how to be able to help any client to ensure that when they deploy their AI, when they're building their solutions, they do it on a responsible way.
Yeah. And I think one thing I really appreciated Minister Solomon saying earlier today was, hey, look, sometimes you don't have to wait for everything to be perfect, right?
You gotta go.
Sometimes you just gotta go. And look, you want them to work out, 51% of the time, right? Have you ever found yourself in such a predicament where things didn't go too perfect? And what was the learning lesson associated with that?
I find the main key is how you keep agile, and I know this is a notion that everybody knows and has been spoken for years and years, but it's the cultural alignment you need to have in the organization to be okay with that. You need to celebrate failure. There's nothing wrong to fail. There's a lot of learnings that come on it, but if you do it really quickly and you can disseminate those learnings, it's just going to help you to be more successful on your next try. And when you multiply that for organizations that are 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, you actually get that scale that you need, and it's going to help you go faster.
I love that. Kemi, if you don't mind asking you to chill out with me on stage while we bring up our next guest.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Do it.
So our next guest is a friend called Andrew Mani. He's from Royal Bank of Canada. So let's give him a hand while he comes up on stage, please. Andrew, man, it's good to have you on stage.
Good to be here. Thanks so much.
So Andrew, look, when I think of RBC, and I'm going to one-up the minister, like he talked about his family. I actually have my family here in the crowd, right? So my dad's here somewhere in the audience. I can't see him. But when I think of RBC, right, an institution that's had heritage of what, over 150 years, right? I think my dad told me a story of when we first came to Canada in 1990. That was the bank he opened up his bank account. Tell me, what does innovation mean in the world of AI for a bank that's got 150 years of history?
RBC has a really long history of innovation. Starting 2016 when we launched our Borealis lab, we built in capital markets a platform we'll call Aiden for executing trades algorithmically. That has been extremely successful. And we grew that into what today we call Aiden, our suite of AI agents, suite of the entire AI platform. And yeah, we've been always in the forefront, invest heavily in AI, invest heavily in research, and deliver for our clients or our communities.
I love that. Tell me a little more about Aiden, right? And I think one of the things that, certainly in a lot of conversations that I have, they ask, is it a single agent that does everything, right? Or is it a suite of agents that are all specialized in these different tasks? And I love how you present it here as a suite of different AI agents. And maybe also highlight some of the use cases you're solving for and some of the benefits that you're seeing, whether productivity gains, et cetera. And hopefully in layman terms, none of your quant algorithmic.
Aiden is a suite of AI agents, and with the way we think about it is we break it down by business and by specialty. So for example, our Aiden research platform, which you'll see here on the screen, if you think about what a research analyst does, is they read a lot of documentation. They read a lot of laborious regulatory filings every time a company files earnings. And they spend a lot of time doing that, especially when a company files earnings. They need to do that really quickly. So themselves and their team, they need to focus on it. What our Aiden research suite of agent does is it extracts all the information, reads the thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of pages of documents to help the analyst in their own tone quickly deliver, let's say, a 2-3 paragraph, what we call a quick take of what happened with that company's earnings. The analyst reviews it, puts in 2-3 more sentences of their own color, boom, they send it to clients, they're on the phone with clients, they're spending face-to-face time. That's really their high value-added work, and the agents can sort of like do the more laborious and tedious part of the job.
Okay, so you give them the boring work while the humans get to do some of this
Exactly,
back and forth banter. I love that. And I think I read a stat somewhere that today any one of your human analysts can serve, right, 15 customers, right, at a given time. And I think with with Aiden now, you're able to scale that to what, something like 50, right? Is that?
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah. So before Aiden, our analysts were covering around 14, approximately, names per analyst, and now with their agents, take that up to about 17, and the goal is to go to 50. Absolutely. Yeah.
And what does that mean from a top line? Because I read a use case that you guys just published today, which was awesome, right? But that's got some revenue goals associated to that. Is that right?
So we've been actually really public. Our CEO Dave McKay has been public. We have a goal of unlocking up to $1 billion of value from AI. And Aiden Research, Aiden Banker, the suite of Aiden products is a big part of that and delivering that value.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So let me ask you this, similar question to I asked Jaime earlier. Again, I think of banking, I think of compliance, I think of regulation, right? What obstacles did you have to overcome to bring agentic AI into production?
So some of the big challenges that we have in the financial industry is not only do we need to build solutions at scale, but we need to build them in a really safe and robust manner and compliant manner. And being a large international organization like RBC, we need to comply with regulation across the board, not just Canadian regulation, US regulation, European regulation, UK regulation, everywhere. So making sure that we are compliant at every step of the way, making sure that we're safe, making sure that we're protecting our client information and none of that leaks out to the public or leaks out to different places, those are really challenges that we face and we spend a lot of time thinking about. Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to put you a bit on the spot here because Jaime actually showed using Nemotron Nano, right, as part of his demo. So let me ask you this. Why did you work with NVIDIA? What products help you drive, right, in the ecosystem, help you drive that level of comfort?
We have literally millions of pages that we need to ingest for some of these agents, whether it's the RBC research agent, the quick takes, earnings agent. What NVIDIA Nemotron models, the NIMs, blueprints do for us is really make that hugely scalable and allow for us to actually ingest that much information. So not only do we also need to ingest unstructured information from these regulatory filings and so on, but also from structured sources in markets, like a lot of tick data, things like that. So and that's what NVIDIA allows us to do.
Love that. And I feel like there's a common theme across kind of all three of us, right? The way Andre and I kind of got to talking about agents was one of the first places we applied agents internally at NVIDIA was, I talked about NIMs earlier, this microservice that's got a model inside that you could take and deploy with you anywhere, right? Because it's portable, you also got to always make sure that your runtime is secure. And to understand whether a vulnerability is exploitable in a given microservice, there's a scavenger hunt associated with that, especially when there's hundreds of libraries in that. And so before agents became a thing, when retrieval augmented generation was just just starting to take off, we figured out how to use agents to help, right, our security analysts right, our security analysts, in basically triaging whether a vulnerability can be exploited. And I was literally just telling him that story, telling his team that story. He's like, you guys are, right? And agents weren't a thing yet, right? It's like, oh, you guys are using LLMs to do the triaging, doing deep analysis, right? Maybe we can do that, right? And so it was a fun story. Okay, I'm going to bring us back, all three of us here, I guess. Jaime, let me ask you this. What are you most excited about looking ahead?
Well, when I look at where we are in Canada right now, you know, all the announcements that have gone from government and the very focus on AI is going to be a critical aspect to where we want to be as a country and how we're going to leverage that technology to help our productivity grow, to help transform and be able to grow our economy. I'm very excited to see, to my example, the best ideas come from everywhere. There's no center of excellence in the country. So if you think about all the different industries and startups that we have in the country having access to this technology, having access to the sovereign compute, I'm very excited to see what great ideas, discovery, and many other good things are going to come from it. We don't know what we don't know yet, but I'm very excited to see when you actually unlock the innovation and the strong intellect that we have in this country. I'm very looking forward to see what is going to come out. And just remember, like, there's many data points on this, but Canada is very blessed by having the top researchers in the planet.
Facts.
There's a lot of facts. There's a lot of great intellect in this country. And shame on us if we actually don't use it, and we do it in a very responsible way. We actually ensure the IP stays in Canada, grows in Canada, and we actually can accomplish the main things that we want to do as a country.
So let me have a follow-on question. What role do you see Telus playing in that?
Well, we clearly have a role right now with the launch of the AI Factory. So we want to be a clear leading provider of safe, secure, sovereign AI compute that is very much required not only to unlock this innovation, but if we want to keep the researchers and we want to keep the intellect, you need to ensure you have access to compute. So all these ingredients, as you can see, are all connected to each other to be able to ensure that the talent stays here, the IP stays here, the companies grow here, and then we're going to get the outcomes that we really need to see that are going to be reflected on the productivity improvements, GDP growth, and other main metrics that we want to achieve.
I love that. Andre, what are you most excited about?
How much time do you have?
Got 10 minutes before these people want to start drinking, right?
Yeah, I could talk about that for days. We've only really just scratched the surface. With AI and generative AI specifically. What I'm most excited about is really unlock and remove a lot of the laborious parts of what a lot of us focus on. Pretty much every job has a laborious part to it, and have us focus on really interesting and problems that truly move the needle forward. And that's really what I'm most excited about. Is basically unlock creativity, unlock value, and just move forward.
Anything keeping you up at night?
Yeah, I think the
other than the bugs you file on me and ask me to fix for you.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I think as you know, AI is a wonderful thing. Generative AI is a wonderful thing. It has amazing uses to drive value, but on the other hand, it can also be used by bad actors to either hack or access systems without permissions. So it really increases the attack vectors and the attack surface, and that's something that we have to think about like all the time. Yeah.
I love that. We kind of said this implicitly, but I'm going to ask the question explicitly, right? Because we're drawing on less so about technological dimensions, but there's a cultural thing, right? You talk about no center of excellence. From a culture perspective, how do we have to change our thinking beyond the center of excellence, et cetera? But as an organization, like how do you expand the usage of agents and some of the learnings you have to maybe more regulated parts of the bank, right, like commercial banking, what culturally do you think they can learn from capital markets, right? Not just for commercial banking, but other industries as well.
So I think learning is a huge part of this. Everyone is learning, including our team. Whoever is at the forefront, we're always learning, and we all have to just always be learning. At RBC, we're very proud that at RBC Capital Markets, we're very proud we've created a group which we call AI Champions. So we've picked the highest, the people with the most influence in different businesses that are AI fluent and are using AI, and we put them all in a group together, come up with ideas, discuss where the space is going, and then they can take that part and then take it to their specific businesses, and really sort of like come up with a natural way of spreading that AI culture.
So AI champions, but not a center of excellence.
Yeah.
Careful. What about you, Jaime?
For the worry or for the
for the worry first.
For the worry, okay. So for the worry, when I look at one of the main reasons that this event is here is so we can bring a lot of different mindsets, corporations, startups, innovators like NVIDIA, and be able to have conversations and think about how we're going to create ecosystems and partnerships that are going to help us move forward. I find we live in a world today that is very hard to predict what is going to happen in the immediate future. I find we live in a lot of uncertainty. And I find that as a country, we need to find more ways where we can be as independent as possible and minimizing the reliance we have in the supply chain and other countries to be able to do our work. That's the reason that applies to many factors, not only the AI compute, but think about electricity and many other things. We need to ensure that we prioritize all this accordingly, so we really mean it when we're going to actually invest in the country, buy Canadian, and be able to unlock the innovation and be able to create that notion of builders. The reason I always keep going to builders, we need builders. We need not only users of AI, we need building solutions on AI, building companies who can leverage this technology in innovative ways and be able to give us an edge in the global landscape.
Yeah, and this notion of builders, I don't think it's scary anymore. Kind of Carrie alluded to this earlier in the morning, right? Like the new interface, right, for the new language for programming is the human language, right? Yeah. I remember when I first moved to the Bay Area 7, 8 years ago, I was a little concerned because we at school, all the kids would put up their hands and say, I want to be an ML engineer, right? I want to be like Andrea, I want to be a software developer. And then my kids would say, I want to be an actress. I want to be on Broadway. And I was a little concerned. I'm worried. But now, in fact, they can program with just the human language. And so building is no longer to those that write C++ or JavaScript or, CUDA kernels, right? It is available to everybody. Final question before we let everybody disperse and, get the drinks. If we're here a year from now, what are we talking? And hopefully we'll be back. What are we talking about?
I think operator use or like computer use, full agents that can take over your entire computer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Jaime?
So I think a year from now, we're going to be talking about the revolution and transformation that we have seen and implemented responsibly at a scale using Agentic AI and how have transformed how we offer services. I'm an optimist, so I will be looking into how AI gets embedded really deeply in healthcare. Yeah. So when I look at our country and how we can reduce wait times, how can we be very proactive on maintaining the good health of our citizens, there's tons of improvement that we can do in that aspect. So if I could tangibly just, would like to have a really fun conversation here next year, is to be able to go back in a year from now and say, we reduce wait times by 45%. We increase the precision of our diagnosis by 80%. That's the world I really want to live in. And I don't think technology is a hindrance. Technology is the enabler. And then we need that cultural factor to be able to enable it and get the right incentives to get us there. And that's what we're here to do.
So AI factories in every province, AI factories oversubscribed, benefits for all Canadians.
Indeed.
I like it. I think that's a good way for us to end our session. I really appreciate you guys both coming here, making time. And Montreal, thank you for having me back home.
Merci
and
beaucoup.
yeah, merci à vous, and look forward to seeing you guys later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Merci. What a great day. What a great final conversation. Thank you, all three of you, very much for being here. This is what we're going to do. We mentioned the cocktails. There's a cocktail reception where you came up the stairs to get into here, so that's happening right away. Don't be afraid to go to that. Tomorrow morning, starting at 8:30, we'll be here. The Honorable Mélanie Joly is going to be speaking at a certain point. But one more time, let's thank these three very much for being here. And have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you, man.
All the places we would go, all the songs we got to know, you held it all. I know that I need you now, the key that I won't forget, but you're lost in Paris. I hope that you're warm and safe, the memory that I can't replace, but you're lost in